There are three important measures of center in statistics. There's the mean, the median, and the mode. And you've probably had some experience with all of these some point before now. You learn about them in upper elementary school usually. The most used is the mean, which is similar to the expected value of a probability distribution. We also have been known to call the mean the average. In statistics, we always refer to it as the mean, but it is the average that you remember from earlier math. To find the mean of a set of numbers, add the numbers and divide by the total number of numbers. I know that sounds kind of awkward, but I think you know what I mean. It's like averaging. In fact, it is averaging. Now, we can symbolize the sum of the integers. Instead of writing them all out, we use summation or sigma notation. It's called sigma notation because we use the Greek letter sigma to symbolize the fact that we are adding a bunch of things together. So what we have here is the mean of the n numbers, x sub 1, x sub 2, x sub 3, all the way to x sub n. N is the total number of numbers that we have. All these x's with the subscripts are different numbers. The average or the mean, all those numbers together divided by n. The x with the line over it is the symbol for mean, and we read that x bar. And then you see where it says that it's equal to sigma x. That means the sum of all the x's, sum of all the data values, over n. N represents how many numbers are being added together. Now your calculator can compute most statistical measures for you, which is very convenient. And we're going to be using that a lot in these 4 sections. To calculate the mean using your calculator, you're going to push Stat, then Edit, and you're going to put your data into list 1, and then you're going to push Stat and go to Calculate, and you're going to select the one variable stats. Then when it comes up on the home screen, when you select it, it'll come to the home screen, it'll say one var stats, then you're going to press Enter. And you're going to see a lot of information, and we'll go over this later as to what all this information means. But what you need right now is the mean, which is symbolized by the x bar or the x with the line over it. Try this example, pause the recording to do it, and then resume to check your answer. All right, so all we're doing is we're adding all the numbers together, and we're dividing by 5, and we get 1,660.8. Now that's in billions of dollars. So the actual mean amount would be 1,660,800,000,000. Now, sometimes we don't have the raw data. Instead, we have a frequency distribution, which is almost as good. What you could do is you could list every number however many times the frequency distribution tells you to, or really quite simply just multiply each value by the frequency and then add those numbers together. And then you're going to divide by the total of all the frequencies. So add the frequencies up, and that's what you will divide by. On your calculator, you can do this too. What you're going to do is go to your lists again. You're going to hit Stat, then Edit. In list 1, you're going to list your data values. One each, and then the frequency for each number is going to go next to it in list 2. Now what you're going to do is you're going to select the one variable stats again, but this time when it comes up on the home screen, you're going to put in L1 and L2 before you hit Enter. You can find those. What you're going to do is you're going to hit second, then the 1 button, and then the comma button. The comma is right above the 7, and then you're going to hit second and the 2 button. Close the there is no parentheses, just go ahead and press Enter. And what that does is it tells the calculator that your list 1 has your numbers in it, and that list 2 has the matching frequencies. And then you'll see the average. Okay, here's an example using a frequency distribution, and they've actually already multiplied the age by the frequency, so they've kind of made life easy for you. You don't have to put this in your calculator as far as the lists go. So pause the recording, give this a try, and resume to check your answer. All right, so really all we need to do is we need to add up all the age time frequencies, and they've already done that. It's 573, And then we're going to divide by the total of the frequencies, which they already found for us, which is 30. So 573 divided by 30 is 19.1. So the mean age, or the average age of the students, would be 19.1 years. Also find a mean if our data is grouped. Now, what we mean by group is that we have an interval and we know how many numbers fall into the interval, but we don't know what those numbers are. So this is going to be probably a little less accurate than if we had all the numbers. But what we're going to do is you're going to find the midpoint for each group. And that's going to serve as our data point. That's going to serve as our x. And then the frequency for the group will serve as the frequency for that data point. And you can do this on your calculator the same way. It's just in list 1, you're going to list the midpoints, and in list 2, you're going to list the frequencies. So why don't you pause the recording, give this one a try. This is a grouped problem. And you'll notice that what they did here, they already found the midpoint for the intervals for you. They've got the frequency, and then the product is the midpoint times the frequency. It's really similar to what that last problem was. They're giving you a lot of the information. Pause the recording, give us a try, and resume to check your answer. All right, so really all we have to do is take the numbers. They've already added and multiplied everything for us. So we have 132 over 40, which is 3.3. And at the bottom they make this note. It's important to know that information is always lost when the data are grouped. It's really a lot more beneficial to have the original data and to use the original data rather than the group frequency. And if you are doing calculations from a group and you're doing some kind of report, you would need to, in order to maintain integrity, note that you did not have the original data. Instead, you had it grouped into intervals. So the mean based on group data is typically not too different from the mean based on the original data. And so it can serve. It's just important to realize that there may be some difference involved. This is the formula for the mean of a grouped distribution, and it's really what we just did. You're going to multiply the midpoint times the frequency and add those up, and then divide by the total of the frequencies. The mean of a random sample is a random variable. It's sometimes called the sample mean. Different samples would most likely produce different means, and some would be more accurate than others. In other words, if you were taking a survey of something that produced numerical data, different samples are going to have different means. And some of them will be very close to each other, and some of them will be way out. It just depends on the sample. And if you ever take a full-blown statistics course, you'll learn about this. And you'll learn that that's perfectly normal, and you'll learn how to deal with that. We learned in Chapter 9 how to find the expected value of a random variable, and this is sometimes called the population mean. It's symbolized by the Greek letter mu, so E of x equals mu. Mu is going to symbolize the actual mean for the population, and the fact is we just don't know for sure most of the time what that actually is. So what we do is we use our sample mean to give us our best guess. And again, like I said, there's going to be variations between sample means. So if you ever do take a full-blown statistics course, you'll learn how all that is dealt with. Another measure of the center is the median. And the median is the physical center of the data. In other words, what you're going to do is you're going to take all of your data values and you are going to arrange them numerically from smallest to largest. If you have any repeated numbers, you are going to include those repeats. So if one of the numbers is repeated 3 times, you will include all 3 of those. So all data values must be listed. They must be in numerical order. And the median is the data value that is the middle of that lineup. Now, if you have an odd number of data, then you're going to have a single value in the middle. If you have an even amount of data, then you're going to have 2 numbers in the middle. And what you do in that case, if they're different, is you average them together, and that will be your median. Just a note, when you do the one variable statistics operation on your calculator, the median is one of the numbers provided. You probably have to hit the down key to get to it, but it is there. All right, we have a couple of examples here, so why don't you pause the recording and give this a try and then resume to check your answer. All right, 8 was pretty simple since they actually highlighted the number that's in the middle. They've got it all arranged for you and everything. All you had to do is really just kind of pay attention to what was going on. Now try B if you haven't already. First you had to arrange B, and then you had to find the middle. And you can see here how they were arranged. The middle is 23, so the median for this particular problem is 23 hours. Now try problem C. Pause and then resume to check your answer. Okay, writing them in numerical order, we see that we have 2 in the center, 18 and 20, so we average them together and get 19. And so 19 will be the median for this particular problem. So we've got 2 measures of center so far. We're going to have one more, but which should we use? Both of them are examples of a statistic. A statistic is just a number that gives you summary information about a sample. Sometimes the median is the better measure and sometimes it's the mean. When do you use which? Well, the problem with the mean is that it's influenced by extreme values, both high and low, while the median is not. For example, just something common you guys have probably experienced. If you want to know what the class average of a test is, well, if there is one person that just blew the roof off the test, or if there's one person that just really bombed the test and everybody did okay, that one person, because of their extreme grade and because it's so far apart from everybody else's, can really pull the class average down. So the mean is affected by extreme values that are separated and outside of the body of the data, which can give you a little bit of a distorted perspective on what the majority of people did on the class test. Now, in general, the median is a better measure for the center of data that is skewed in either direction. So if you have something with a really extreme value that's way away from the main set of data, then the median would be a better way to go. The mean is the better choice and the more accurate choice for data that is in a more normal or symmetric distribution. And we'll learn more about that as we go through these 4 sections in this chapter. The mode. The mode refers to the most frequent data value. It does have the advantage of being found easily, and it's not influenced by extreme values. It is mostly useful when you're trying to find the average of data that's not numerical, like you're doing a survey about a favorite restaurant or most popular pet. You can't really do a mean or median on those, but you can definitely do a mode, and that's what you're going to want to go with. The major disadvantage is that there may be more than one data value that occurs most frequently, and so that can be kind of a problem too. All right, let's try these problems. Pause the recording, give them a try, and then resume to check your answer. Okay, part A, the number 65 occurs most frequently, so it is the mode. Go on to number B, pause if you haven't already done it, and then resume to check your answer. We have 2 numbers that are in the mode here, so 220 and 240. Because it has 2 modes, it is called bimodal. If you were to graph it, you would see 2 peaks at that point. Okay, try the letter C. Pause if you haven't already done it and resume to check your answer. This time we don't have a mode. There's no number that occurs more than once, so there is no mode. Now let's try this example. Pause the recording, give it a try, and resume to check your answer. So we were asked to find the mean, the median, and the mode of this data. The mean, add everything together and divide by 10 since there are 10 data points. We have 38.8 hours. If you arrange the data in numerical order, the middle number or median is 40, and the number 40 occurs more often than any other, so it is the mode. The rest of this video is extra practice problems for you to try, so pause the recording, give them a try, and resume to check your answers.